So today we wanted to share with you guys the biggest difference between deep work versus multitasking. I always say this thing inside the company every single week over week to focus peeling on the orange. If you focus peeling on the orange, it's a story that I've heard from one of our old mild jiu-jitsu coach. You can even get the peel off in one go, focusing on the task at hand. And I think that's something that Avery and I talk about, and especially recently, like we found a pretty good book about it, about multitasking and how unproductive it is to actually do multiple things at the same time, and why we've been really obsessed with just the deep work of 2 hours every single morning before we even get to working in the business. Avery.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm a little nervous, so excuse any grammar or any mess ups. Essentially focusing on the task is really, really important because multitasking diminishes your actual ability to focus, and it ruins your ability to communicate effectively as well because you have a shorter fuse. So you hear it a lot of jobs or a lot of places that are hiring when you do go for an interview or you see roles online, it says ability to multitask is essential or super important, when realistically multitasking is actually very harmful and it does more bad than good. And I think a lot of us are brought up in the bringing of multitasking because our workload's so heavy, work-life balance. Like, it's just very common for people to multitask. And, it's not good.
I would agree. You have an excerpt here that you really kind of hit home with me. You showed this to me maybe 2 or 3 nights ago.
Yeah, so I purchased this book. It's called Deeper Mindfulness. And I don't have the actual cover on it, but what caught my attention was it just being more, it said something about being more present or focusing in at work. And I think as I've started working with Alfred in the creative department team, I came from a background of leading a lot of people. So multitasking was really, really big for me. And here Alfred constantly says, just focus on peeling the orange. And I never got it. And it almost to an extent kind of pissed me off because I was like, this isn't the way I learn. I'm more task orientated. I want more on my plate. But it's just ineffective. And working with your partner and living with your partner every day, I think communication is really important. So I purchased this book hoping it would offer more insight on how we can work better as a team. And literally page 14 changed the trajectory of my life because it talked about multitasking and how inefficient it was. So I'm just going to read a little excerpt. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Oh, I'm so nervous to read. Okay. It says, inhibiting one task and starting another many times in succession for hour after hour consumes time and mental energy. Such multitasking might feel like you are doing many things at once in parallel, whereas in reality you are simply jumping from one task to another very inefficiently. And the more complex the task, the more inefficient the switching becomes. According to some studies, it can take around 20 minutes to refocus on a complex task after an interruption, and sometimes far longer. Repeated switching has more insidious consequences too. As each day progresses, the weeks move into years, our mind can become shallower and shallower. Your attention span begins to erode. Your mind starts behaving like a skipping stone, bouncing off the surface of a pond. You may have become better at switching, but less efficient at focusing on the task that you switch to. And because you hold less and less in your mind, you need to switch more often, which means that you slow down even more as all the different priorities compete for the diminishing space of your mind. And that whole paragraph, I read it maybe 7 times because I was shocked.
I would agree.
So.
Yeah. And we were trying to come up with ways that what we do and how to implement and ways that we could share with others on how they can improve their task management or deep work or multitasking. I think in general, a lot of people love multitasking, which is kind of a bad thing. You had briefly mentioned about employers wanting, hey, this role has multiple this role has multiple tasks in different departments.
It's embedded in us to multitask.
Yes.
And when I started working here, I learned that that's not the way you're teaching people that you're employing. And it just really stuck out to me because I was I don't fit in here then because I'm a multitasker. I'm a busybody. This isn't the way I learn. And so once I really slowed down and pulled back the curtain, I realized I had a short attention span. I couldn't focus on task. It was hard. I had a short fuse when it came to people loading my plate with more stuff when I haven't even offloaded the tasks that I have on hand already. And it just didn't feel good. It felt like I was bad at my job. It kind of tells you that you're a little bit of a failure when you're bad at multitasking, or you can't seem to get it right. But like in reality, we're not meant to multitask. Like it's just inefficient, and it literally is killing our ability to focus, which in the long run, you need focus to live, or to like simply sit down, read a book, eat a meal, have patience, communicate, talk to friends, talk to family. Like you need the ability to focus in every day.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
I think so the ways that I recommend that if you want to kind of go towards the deep work and avoiding multitasking is carving out the time for deep work and understanding that the things and projects you guys are working on are going to take long periods of time. When we implement new systems in our business, we understand that it's going to take 100 to 400 hours to implement. So just carving out 2 to 4 hours a day in deep work and knowing that that'll accumulate to 40 or 80 hours at the end of the week. And that way we know that it'll eventually stack on. Anything that you could recommend?
Yes. So if you're one of those people that like is a busybody, you love to have your plate full, just genuinely take a step back and look at how many tasks you've actually completed that feel your effort was put in 100%. When I stopped and reflected on all my work, I kind of realized that I was either doing like 50% here, 25% on this project, 75% on this project. It was actually never 100%. And as a person who cares about your job or cares about the people you work with or the people you employ, if you're a business owner, like they deserve the 100% given. So even if you feel like multitasking does work for you, like just genuinely pull the curtain back and take a look at your work and know that there's probably better ways of learning, and being able to adjust that is going to make you a better leader, better employee, better person all around, because your attention to focus is genuinely really important. And the less you have, like, it's just not good in the long grand scheme of things. And if your plate is full right now, I would recommend just using an hour for this project, then stopping. Don't go back to that project that day. Then go to the next project, work an hour of deep work. Just focus on that task at hand. And then once you start offloading onto your plate, start a new way of learning where you just take on one task at a time. So
I love that.
That's what I would do. Well, that's what I'm in the process of doing, because I need to take a step back and just focus on what's at hand.
I love that.
Thanks.
If you guys are new here, my name is Alfred Romero. This is Xavier Rodriguez, and we are partners on Creative Department. We're a media agency out here in San Diego, California. And if you're new here to this channel, welcome to the Wade Gretzky Show. We're trying to post every single day in the month of January, and if all goes well, we're going to try and get to the end of the year. With that being said, thank you guys. We hope this provided some value. If it did, consider subscribing, like the video, and comment if you have any more questions.
Thanks for having me, and subscribe. See you next time.
Later.